Welcome everyone back to Mr. Weather Updates, and today's video we're gonna be doing our winter forecast for obviously next year. So we're doing like a forecast for next year really. So we're gonna see what the weather conditions are gonna be like for 2025, January and February mostly. We're also gonna have a look at the rest of December to see what that's going to be like on extended ECMWF models and extended CFS V2 models at the end of the video to see what the conditions are going to be like. So we're going to be answering our questions today. So this is going to be like one of the second half of winter forecast really. With the first half now we're going to do the 2025 half. So we'll see what that is there. Now I will be doing a little bit of admin before we do any of obviously looking at the charts. Firstly, want to have a look at a few weather warnings at first as well. So if we have a look at some weather warnings, we can see here we have a yellow warning for wind. I'll briefly cover this up because I want to get started. However, obviously, yellow warning for wind. It's from 12 PM today to 5 PM today. Now, I'm not doing a forecast for the rest of the day because I'm a little bit busy, so I'm going to get it over with. So, strong westerly winds may cause some difficult travel conditions on Sunday afternoon. We could see short-term power loss and some other services are possible. Delays for high-sided vehicles on exposed routes and reduced slightly. So, westerly winds will be strengthening with gusts up to 45 to 5 mile per hour wind gusts. So, mile per hour wind gusts. And that is part of Yorkshire, so this is kind of where I live, really. So, it's in a very linear area. We could even see 65 mile per hour winds. This area has a medium likelihood and a low impact, and these only have 3 counties really involved in them, so it's not too bad. We still hang on to that rain warning in Scotland. Now, we're going to get started with our charts. We're going to have a look at the 2 metre temperatures and 30 millimetre winds. This is showing the wind directions up in the high atmosphere and the temperature gradients, as it's saying here. You can see here, obviously, it is derived from a non-linear interpolation between model air potentials with the lowest model level, which is 10 millimeters. Air temperatures are covered in 10 centimeters, in Celsius, using colour shading of intervals of 4 Celsius. Obviously, you know what colour shading is. Redder means hot, cooler means warm. So if we see anything like this, these colours, this would indicate a little bit milder colours. So that's a brief influence on what we mean. We're looking at the wind direction for this one. So we're going to start off with some 10-day forecasts, just to get started. Then we're going to go into some 42 extended day forecast after that. So firstly, we can see here, it's going to be quite a gusty day today. Obviously my area. As you can see here, we can see the winds are starting to pick up. As you can see with the size of the arrows, this is coming from the southwesterly direction. As the winds come, it is going to bring some increasingly milder air to come. You can see more orange colours, like we saw on the UKV. It will be turning a little bit cooler for a time onto Tuesday, but then another ridge of westerly winds coming in and then pulling very mild air. It could get temperatures into double digits. However, that moves south quite quickly. Let me just see if I can pause it. Moves south. We can see how wind direction has changed to a north or northwesterly wind coming from Greenland area of the Atlantic, pushing the mild air away and introducing a little bit colder colours just before Christmas. But just before Christmas happens, the winds do start to change direction into more of a westerly flow, bringing in some more mild weather, unfortunately. It's starting a little bit changeable, but if we have a look into oops, I don't know what's happened there. But obviously, it is looking quite changeable, if I'm being honest. But if we have a look at the day of December, of the big day, Christmas, we can see, no, there we go. We can see here, it could be quite mild for Christmas. So if I just have a look on here, I'm going to label it with my pen this time. If we have a look at the wind direction, you see here it's coming from the southwest. So obviously this could, if it is coming from the southwest of the Atlantic. So this direction, which is the southwest. So I want to write it southwest direction. This could bring areas of more unsettled interlude and mild weather, unfortunately. So we can have an area of low pressure here. So these will be bringing maybe outbreaks of spells of rain, maybe snow on the higher grounds, but mostly rain, unfortunately. Maybe some higher winds, mild weather on Christmas. It won't be that as mild as this week, but still could see double digits in areas that usually get really warm. So, unfortunately, there might not be a white Christmas. It might be quite unsettled, really. It'll be at least kind of mild. So that is that is what we're gonna have a look at for that. But staying mostly changeable. If we do have a look at the actual rain and mean level forecast, this is a 10-day again. This time looking at the precipitation, you can see here this is mean level, sea level precipitation, which is the surface pressure, which is obviously measured in 800 HPA. The solid lines and ice bars, obviously, we can see here in areas of high pressure cyclones with settled weather. We'll have to have a look at that. So, obviously, this is an easy chart to look at. I'm obviously kind of used to these, so I should be fine. So, looking at the day of today, we can see I've got some outbreaks of rain in Scotland. Could turn heavy at time. It's lingering quite a while, actually. Into Monday. That's why we have that weather warning in place. There is a front trying to push into Tuesday, and it could get quite unsettled onto Tuesday actually, with some outbreaks of heavy rain in the north, with some tiny spells in there, and again more heavy rain to come onto Wednesday as well. So quite unsettled as that moves in from the Atlantic. Still could see some showery conditions into Thursday as it gets colder. But you can see here there's another front approaching onto next week. You can see here another band of rain and another band of rain into Scotland. That could obviously be quite heavy. And again, coming on for next week, well, could be quite changeable. Plenty of precipitation around. It could be quite wet. So you can see here, most millibars are under 10-20 millibars, unfortunately. So we're going to see a lot of rain at the moment. As we've got fronts pushing in from the Atlantic around about here. It's turned off, this fucking pen's useless. But you can see here, most of the weather fronts that come from here. Mostly Scotland will be getting the worst of it, so we'll be affecting in that area. But at the moment, for Christmas week itself, it does not look too great in terms of being a white Christmas. It is definitely quite a low chance, unfortunately, of being a white Christmas, because we are seeing on our graphs. I'm so sorry, I'm charging up the pen. We are seeing on the graphs at the moment, I'll say a negative interlude of that. We are seeing quite wet, windy, and mild conditions. I'll say more changeable for now, but probably it will be like that, unfortunately. We are still seeing high pressure sitting to the south. We'll see if that makes an effect. It could do for a time, probably after Christmas, though. Now we're going to jump onto the longer range chart, which is going to be a little bit more harder to forecast. I'm not really used to these time part things. This is a 42-day forecast this time. I'm just going to see if I can... Oops, what's happened here? Just reload that. There we go. Oh, no, I don't want it like that. I want it to go to the... Oh, there we go. But you can see here, where this is a 42-day forecast. This is coming from the 27th of July. Sorry, not July. December. January. And you can see here, at first, this is this week. I'm so sorry, my pen's not... Well, I'm going to have to use a different pen. But you can see here on the long-range 42-day forecast, we can see here there's a little bit of a contrast here in mild or blocking really weather. Alright, so you can see here we've got some maybe colder interludes possible in Scotland, but I think this mild air is probably going to be likely to move up. This is my red pen, so it's going to draw red. But you can see what's going on over here. We are seeing more darker colours, more of a blocking. This is more of a blocking area. So this is for Christmas. We can see it could bring some milder time from that storm pen, from a time into the Atlantic. Could even see a area of northern blocking possible after Christmas. So we'll have to see what happens there. Obviously, it is a little bit hard to predict from these ones, if I'm being completely honest. This is obviously the high temperatures over the stratosphere, really, in a high area of the atmosphere. So this is what it is. Again, on to it keeps going really fast. These I can't even. It doesn't even let me. Let me just see. There we go. New Year looks like a little more of a changeable conditions because we're in two areas of. Obviously, we could see milder weather. We could see cooler weather interludes at a time. Into New Year, most likely changeable. We could see rain. We could see mild weather. Maybe more west. We could see colder interludes as well. As it is looking from there. Again, on January, it does look more of a fixed position, if I'm being honest. A little bit more high pressure, maybe possible in some areas. And continuing, more of a contrast again onto the end of January. You could see, obviously, changeable weather. We could see mild weather, we could see cold weather in some areas. But you can see this is more neutral. Obviously, this means it's a little bit more hard to predict, but we could see changeable weather, definitely. So most likely colder weather, maybe, but we could see more mild weather interludes at a time. We might see both. Now looking at the long range 42, looking at the long range mean sea level pressure. This is showing the likelihood of precipitation, really. So obviously we'll see on that. So obviously the darker red colours, more likely of precipitation, maybe. But then, wait, is this? Give me 1 second. Oh, this is mean sea level pressure. This is temperatures in a high level of the atmosphere. I think it's stratosphere over here. So it's showing the more likelihood of having, obviously, lower temperatures in blue colours and higher temperatures in the red colours. So you can see here for January, looking again, like we saw in that contrast colours, we can see here an area of that mild weather keeping to the south that could move towards the UK at times. We still have an area of colder, more lower percentage of obviously neutral weather. It does look a little bit more average for this one, but most of them we could see contrast of colours. The cold air could move south into the UK, but the warmer, still mild air could still bring in some outbreaks of rain. Now to February, does look a little bit more fixed, more clear on what it's going to be. 40 to 50%, maybe a little bit more mild, more changeable. Obviously, we can see here coming from there. Still see a few areas of rain if that happens, which is sitting there. Again, obviously, some areas will be colder than others. It does depend on where this mild air would obviously move in. Same for March, really. A little bit weaker in places, but still a little bit contrast into if it is a mild or if it is a cooler. I'll say more average if I'm completely honest. So that is what we're going to look at from there. A little bit easier here. Precipitation over the, obviously, radar, just to see if it's going to be dry. So obviously, if we go a little bit further here, probably probability below tercile. Obviously more, if it gets brown, that means a lower chance of rain precipitation. If it gets more green, more chance of precipitation. But you can see here, into January, doesn't look too bad, but we can still see a front of rain precipitation moving in from the Atlantic. Depending on what the wind speeds are, we could see this area of low pressure system maybe trying to push into England there. So we could still see quite a average winter where it's mostly wet. So that could move in for there. It probably will. Same goes for February. Doesn't look as bad, but because we have got plenty of precipitation awaiting, so plenty of front precipitation trying to push in over there. So I can say this front could move there, and this low pressure system could move more into the England direction, as it usually does into that time of year. So it says quite likely as well, indicating with the darker colours, so it might. Now looking on to March, does starts to look a little bit more drier. We are getting a little bit more, but there is a little bit more probability of precipitation from the south, from the north, of this moving south. As you can see here, quite high percentage of that happening. Now I don't really want to look into April yet, so I will be skipping that for now. Now looking at the zonal, mean zone of wind, extended range. We can see here at the start of December, here has been quite weak as the westerly flow. That is, so it's been obviously at the start of September, has been quite westerly winds have been quite low. Or as we move a little bit further into December and into the new year, just start to get a lot more, I'll say, higher than average as the westerly flows. You can see it's all over the place here, indicating quite a strong polar vortex, as this is indicating here. Obviously, it is showing a higher than average mean zone of wind of westerly flows in the hemisphere. So this could indicate quite a strong stratospheric warming, maybe. Obviously, this is obviously sometimes it is like this at this time of year. Obviously, it does get quite all over the place in the average line over there. You can see mostly it is more in the stratosphere. We could see an outbreak of stratospheric warming and an active polar vortex. So quite strong westerly flows. So that's why I'm indicating maybe having a few more stratospheric warming events. If I'm being completely honest. So if I have a look here, I don't know where it's gone, but stratospheric warming, there it is. Some stratospheric warming events, and how we can predict this. This is indicated SSW. Obviously, this is it. As it is saying in the name, stratospheric. It's in the stratosphere, so obviously it's going to be impacting areas of that. So obviously this is extended 6 miles to 31 miles above the Earth's surface, as you can see from there. And this is how you can see here. This is obviously affecting the polar vortex as well. This could obviously affect that. So obviously these two things are different things. We have the tropospheric vortex as well. The tropospheric vortex is the normal atmospheric feature, which affects our weather every winter. But obviously this is what the stratospheric polar vortex look like. This is a little bit more active. It does sometimes affect direction as well. A significant destruction in stratospheric polar vortex, large-scale atmospheric waves push high into the atmosphere. So these waves can break, as we saw in the zone of wind. This leads to cold air descending and warm air rappelling. Mojo effect, really, with lots of changes in the temperatures, as you can see there. Okay, so instead of obviously the cold air being into more the polar region, this could be carried in more in the south areas, mid-latitude. So we could see a little bit more of that. So we could see below average temperatures if that would happen if we have an active westerly flow on that. So that's my prediction. Well, I'm not too sure yet. Now, I'm going to have a look at, really quickly, the GFS long range. Usually like looking at these because it's a little bit more accurate. So firstly, looking at the 500 FBA, you can see here this is December, mild air to the south, and you can see here, this is the day, obviously, Saturday. We've had quite nice weather yesterday, as you know. But you can see here, we have that mild air, which is actually going to eventually push in, bring quite mild air, actually, with the air of the low pressure, which is around here, bringing wet and windy conditions with tight isobars, as you can see there. So it's been, I mean, first half of December hasn't been too bad, if I'm being honest, in terms of precipitation, really. But it will be a little bit more wet and windy as we get into the second half of December, in my opinion. Now, on to January, we have lots of things going on. We've got mild air and mild air to the south, and more cooler, colder weather and I'll say stormy conditions to the south. You can see this is probably associated with low pressure. That's the pen. Low pressure. This could move into the UK into January, indicating quite a colder than average January, but could still bring some unsettled conditions as this mild front moves in around here. So we'll have to see what happens there. It is very hard to predict at this time, really. On to February, does look more of a neutral perspective. Obviously, it does seem to be a little bit more, what's the word, unconfident on what's going to happen. We have plenty of mild air coming from there, so this could bring in some maybe wetter than average. Otherwise, could be quite contrast into February. March, we could see quite a mild March, really. We've got some mild air here, maybe bringing some outbreaks of rain as well. Now we're looking at the 158 PA anomalies. Again, more neutral. As this saying, more neutral. This is also agreeing with the 500 FBA, saying that about obviously that cooled air maybe trying to push in for. So February, we can still see high pressure, low pressure areas. We can see here mild air is trying to push in from the north there as well. Now looking at the 858 PA, I think this is a little bit more easier to read if I'm being honest. Oops. Sorry about that. Anyway, looking at this, 858 PA temperatures. You can see here into, obviously, December. We've got some mild air coming from the south, which is actually going to eventually move up. So it's a little bit easier to predict. Could still bring some, wet and windy conditions with some double-figure values. On to January. You can see here that it's more of a contrast really. We've got some mild air to the south, but we're getting a little bit more, I'll say, average temperatures, green colours here, so it's starting to dominate a little bit more there. And on to February, we are seeing more green colours. Could see an average temperatures. We could still see some mild air, but obviously that is in a contrast area between the cold air and the mild air. Just seems a little bit, oops, not that one. And same goes for March, really. Could be quite cold. Then on to April. I don't really want to look at April's, but obviously mild air there. Now, I have been. I'm gonna really quickly do my own kind of prediction on what this weather is going to be like. Okay. I believe it's going to be quite changeable, really. Maybe we could see some milder interludes coming in. We did see a lot of low pressure systems coming in there, bringing in some westerly flows. The westerly flows are going to be quite active for today. That forecast. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in